Please, God.
This is God.
Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
And now we come to the final spooky season episode of 2024.
Mhm.
One where we're going to have a special guest joining us once we've seen the film, of course.
I feel like that should be banned in spooky season. Shouldn't be allowed.
Or anything you buy your track record of saying that, oh, well, you're roping people in to back me up.
Yeah, but it's even
And then-
worse when it's
and
on
then
a spooky one. Because you know I'm not going to like it.
Well, that's yet to be seen. I mean, that's not always true, is it? Because there's one you like out of this bunch so far. So
That's only because it was old. How old's this one?
this is one from the 80s, and it's quite iconic.
Never
As
seen it.
in the Freddy Krueger character.
Man with a hat.
You know you've seen him obviously, like Michael Myers from Halloween and
Yeah.
Chucky
got
and
fingers.
stuff. Yeah, like a horror icon basically.
Yeah, what he
Yeah.
does though, and what obviously I know he probably somebody's had sex, we'll murder them. Like that'll be the thing because it always is in these films.
In a way, yeah. But
There we go, film done. Don't need to watch it.
But it's slightly different in terms of
Does
how.
he think he's Wolverine as well with the claws? How does that contraption work?
Well, just like knives on a glove, basically.
Oh, right. Where did you buy one of those from then?
Self-made.
Do we see him make it? Any flipping context? I'd be more
Well, I mean, the
fascinated.
film gives context of, about it, but
Oh, why is that way? You mean, what's his problem?
what's his problem, dude?
Why are you going killing innocent women for no reason?
They're not just women.
Majority. And then there'll be a final girl, right?
I'll read you the synopsis, shall I? Several teenagers are killed by Freddy Krueger, who torments them in their dreams.
How does he torment them in their dreams? Does he get into the reds?
Well, that's the twist, isn't it? It's like, that's the differentiation.
Was he psychic? Telepathic? Like,
No, he enters the dreams.
how? No, they don't.
What do you mean he doesn't? How do you know you haven't seen the film?
It's in their imagination if they enter the dream. He can't just appear in someone's dream unwillingly. And
I haven't finished the synopsis read.
sorry.
Nancy and her friends
Oh yeah,
need to solve the mystery, or they too shall be killed.
in the dreams. What, so they just die in the sleep?
Yeah.
Alright, that's alright.
It's a bit more dramatic than that, though.
So is he a real person? Sorry, I'm confused. Do they see him in the daytime?
If we watch the film, these questions will be answered, hopefully, for you. Rather than you decide.
Let me just ask all my questions now. I don't need to watch it, do I?
Oh dear, well, I wasn't expecting all this, third degree on this one.
I don't get
obviously-
it.
Hopefully you might get it when come to the end of it, and with our guests as well.
Thrilled for this one. How long is it?
Hour and a half.
Okay. No, yeah, they have to be short. Can't, unless they're just going to keep killing people, it's going to get repetitive, I guess, isn't it? Sorry.
Sass. Which I guess that you could say this character does have a bit of that, so
Why do they always kill teenagers?
because they're vulnerable, aren't they?
So are old people. I guess they're not as pratty, I guess, like teenagers are more deserving of
he's
being
like,
killed, I
you wanna
guess.
see him killed or whatever, but
Okay.
or just young adults who are
Pain in the arses.
asses. Yeah. Right. let's go check out A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Did you have any weird dreams last night?
Slept like a rock.
Do you believe that people can dream about what's going to happen?
No,
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
no. Rod killed Tina, and you know that.
I've got a crazy favor to ask you.
Uh-oh.
It's nothing hard or anything. I'm gonna go and look for somebody. And I want you to stand like a sort of a guard, okay? Okay?
Okay.
Now you can't mess up. A lot might depend on this.
I won't screw up.
And we're back. Having seen Nightmare on Elm Street, and we are not alone this time, as we are joined by special guest, Movie Worm.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for having me on. Really excited to talk about this. I know we were going to do it a few days ago, but we had to delay a few days. But I'm really looking forward to it. Love I Nightmare on Elm Street. So yeah, I'm doing good.
Awesome. So before we get into things, would you like to tell the listeners a little bit about your YouTube channel and what you do?
Yeah, so about 3 or 4 years ago, I started a YouTube channel called Movie Worm, and I got so excited with that channel and just tried to do everything on there, which is not the best thing to do if you've got a YouTube channel, because people mainly subscribe to you for one sort of thing, and I was doing TV, news, movies, and stuff like that. So I've kind of watered that channel down now to just physical media, and I do Blu-ray pickups, stuff like that. Mainly just physical media videos on there. But I have got a horror channel as well, titled Movie Squirm. I don't know whether to change the name of that yet. I'm not sure, but I'm just doing all horror reviews on there, top tens, just the genre that I love, and anything I can sort of bring from my love of the genre onto that channel, basically.
Yeah, now I've been looking through the videos you've done recently and stuff. There's really good content that you do on there, especially I'm a sucker for top 10 stuff anyway. Really, I really enjoy making lists myself and things like that. So it's really good to see other people's opinions on things, especially that you've got the separate entity of horror movie reviews and stuff like that. So
I feel like maybe you could do that by yourself, Paul, and I don't have to then suffer Halloween. So just
maybe there's an idea. Maybe
a little thing for me. I'm not really a big Halloween fan. I don't really like scary movies or horror. I literally get frightened at pretty much anything. This year, though, I have done really well.
Nice.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a bit smug because I've either got my big girl knickers on and I'm not that scared, or your picks haven't been that frightening. I'm not sure. But even this one, going into it, I thought, oh, is Freddy going to be in my dreams? Is it going to be I'm going to get a little bit head twisted? Is it? He hasn't appeared yet.
Good.
I'm not screaming in the middle of the night, tearing my duvet apart. So I think I'm all right.
Yeah, I'd be a bit worried if I'm sleeping next to you, but what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
So you've done okay. Is that not watched any that have scared you this month? No.
I think The Haunting probably was one that I kind of get more into my brain, and I think the darker it is, and obviously it was in black and white, I think it makes me see shadows and predict things that are not there. Anything more like a ghost or a spiritual thing would freak me out more.
Yeah.
This is why Freddy's interesting, though, I think, because I don't really know what he is, because I know he's technically he's a ghost that comes in somebody's dream. That's how I can kind of, in my head, interpretate it. Because he was alive, but he's dead. And obviously her mum is aware of him as a human. But then, spoilers, obviously, her mum kills him, Freddy, doesn't he?
Yeah, because he was a paedophile, and he got away with it basically, and so they're taking the matters into their own hands, and so it's like revengeance on that, and then he's coming back for revenge on.
But this is the bit where I find a bit of a blurred line. Like, is it just people have heard stories about Freddy and then they're having nightmares, or is he actually physically in their dreams killing them, or is it just their minds killing themselves?
Do you want to go first, Paul? Or do you want me-
Well, I think obviously for the film's sake is really kind of the implication that obviously the exaggeration of it is he is like a spiritual being as such, and he is able to get into people's dreams and attack them that way, as opposed to just being. Obviously, you can think of it as in a realistic sense of it being, oh, they're over, the minds are just overplaying this stuff. I know the inspiration for this film was Wes Craven, who directed the film, he read up somewhere about the fact that some people were dying in their sleep. Basically, this was like a real thing that kind of sort of happened, not to do with anything like with the Freddy Krueger thing, but I think it was just. Was it? Am I right, John? In thinking it was anything to do like the war or something like that? Like post traumatic things, something like that.
I think it was a bunch of people come over from Africa or something, but when they come over here, they all started like dying in the dreams. I think it was during the war, or was it the Vietnam War? I can't quite remember which one it was, but they were only on like the 30s and stuff like that, the average age, and they got this like these scientists and stuff to try and see if they were carrying any diseases or anything like that, and they found no trace of anything. So it's kind of, I think it's still like up in the air at what really was happening, and I think it was over 100 people. I might be wrong, but I listened to a video today, and I'm sure that's what he said. But yeah, Wes Craven did base it on this idea of people dying in their sleep in this news article that he read. So the way I see it is Freddy Krueger is he's like a dream demon, isn't he? And he is basically getting his revenge on the parents by killing their children. I don't think it's all in the heads. I think he is actually somehow going into their dreams, and that's how he's sort of getting at them. That's the way I see it anyway.
But then how do you kill him? Because he's dead.
Well, I know we're shooting to the end of the. Well, yeah, but it's kind of like he's supernatural, isn't he? Like a lot of these killers in these horror movies are supernatural. Like Michael Myers comes back after every film. Jason,
yeah.
They all get killed at the end, and they all come back. So
Somehow,
I think it's just a supernatural demon, isn't he? And I don't think you can really ever kill Freddy.
Ooh, that makes it more interesting.
And what makes it more interesting as well is the fact that he's, because I think it was popular at that time when it was big boom for like slasher films. It's like, oh, every killer's got like a knife or anything. That's kind of like just an easy thing. It's like, how can we make this a bit more interesting? And the fact that you kind of see even at the beginning of the opening film, we see Freddy putting the glove on and he's making obviously these knives, these steak knives for his fingers, and think, oh, that's something unique, really. That's he stands out from the rest of the slashers, and the fact that he's able to get them in the dreams rather than when you're sleeping, you're safe, aren't you? It's a safe haven.
You should be.
And then for this, it's like, well, what do you do about the fact that somebody chasing in your dreams? Because you can't, other than wake up, of course, but to an extent, it's like you know where to go, because your dreams can easily be manipulated in a way, because it doesn't make sense logically, as opposed to just close that door and then jump out the window or anything, and then I've escaped the killer. Yeah. Whereas Freddy can just, I think he'd run away from him, and then, oh no, he's there, kind of like just jumps out of you, basically.
This makes it more scary now, but I think when I was watching it, I was thinking of it as like, it's more their heads like just going on overdrive, which I think makes it more bearable. But thinking about the actual idea of falling asleep and somebody trying to kill you in your sleep sounds horrific.
Yeah, I think that's why it scared a lot of people back in the 80s as well, because you can't knock. You can try and stay awake for as long as you want, but after a few days, you've got to sleep, haven't you? There's no escaping it. Your body will just shut down. So I think that's what makes him scary. I mean, there's no getting away from him, basically. You are going to meet up with him at some point, whether you try and stay awake or not. So I think that's a good little idea that Wes Craven came up with, I think.
I think it brings it out from a normal slasher, because I'm not a big fan of normal slashers. I kind of go on my little podium and go, well, they're all the same. Like this big man. It's always a man. You never see a
Mhm.
female slasher. Like,
There are female slashes, but
they're not as well iconic.
no,
Go on.
I guess no, I guess not. No,
Yeah.
I
thought so.
just think.
I would-
yeah.
I think you're right there, to be honest.
Yeah, it's always a male, and they're always got like some form of pointy, daggered thing, and they wear a mask and they appear out of nowhere, or like a chainsaw, which whatever. And I think then it's like, oh, you've got your final girl, she's going to survive, and you kind of, you know what the beat of the story is going to be. Whereas I think this is a little bit, it has those parts and elements in, but it is a little bit less predictable, which I enjoy and appreciate for it. Now am I going to go to sleep and think Freddy's going to appear in my dreams now you've told me it's not in their heads? Maybe I'll have nightmares tonight, so thanks, guys.
I probably wouldn't say I probably wouldn't say recommend the second one then, because I do think that's actually a really scary film. So yeah, probably stay away from that one. To be honest. But yeah, it's a terrifying concept when you think about it, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Have you watched the second one?
No, I've got this, John. I've got this box set here, but I've only ever seen the one film from it, because it's been like it's one of those things I've bought in thinking, oh, this is like like you see the kind of FOMO thing. It's going to be out of print. This was ages ago when that came out, anyway.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh, I'll just keep hold of those, and at some point I'll get around to them, but never have. But it's been one of those things where it's like, I don't know, if I've heard very mixed things about the sequels, and thinking, well, maybe just leave at the first one. But I do want to obviously check out, because I've gone through like the Halloween films as well, and thinking some of those aren't as bad as people make out to be. They're actually, some of them are quite half decent. So I know, is it Dream Warriors that a lot of people kind of like say that's a really good one? And
Yeah, I don't want to go too off topic, because I know we're just talking about the first film, but I do recommend them. There are some bad ones, especially 5 and 6, but Dream Warriors, it's worth going through them just to get to Dream Warriors, because that's where my love of Freddy really started. That's where my love of horror started, with that film. And I didn't watch this one until I watched 3 and 2 for some reason. That's where I started, so I sort of went backwards. But yeah, they're all worth a go. They're all fun. Even though some of them are bad, there's some good things to enjoy in there. Yeah. And the 7th one, New Nightmare, sort of puts its own spin on thing. It's a very clever film. But just going back to what you were saying there, Sophie, about it's a little bit different. I do think this is a franchise that gets very creative, because Freddy is kind of in control of the dream world as well. So he can sort of manipulate the surroundings to his advantage a little bit. As you watch the franchise more, this happens a lot more, especially in part 3 and stuff. But yeah, he's not your typical slasher villain. He's got that extra bit of oomph, I feel, and that's kind of why he's my favourite slasher villain of all time, really. And the iconic glove as well, just makes him stand out a little bit.
I forgot to ask at the start, actually, what your like relationship was with this film. Like, when was the first? Do you remember the first time you saw it, kind of thing, and what kind of struck out to you as like, oh, this is like, is such a great character, and your love for the film?
Yeah, well, like I said, I mainly started with the third one, because what happened was I was in school and I was like year 4, something like that, year 5 maybe, and I heard a bunch of kids on the playground talk about this Freddy character with knives and comes with teenagers in the dreams, and he's got a burnt face and stuff, and I was like, what the hell is this? At the time, I didn't even know horror movies like this existed. I was just like watching Jungle Book and Aladdin and stuff like that. And I was just like, overhearing what they were saying. And I went home and just couldn't stop thinking about it. I went, I need to see this film. And so I went up to my mum and went, will you let me watch this Freddy film that all the kids are watching at school? And she was like, no, you got no chance. So I begged her for 2 years to let me watch this film. And she was just having none of it. But my friend had the second one on VHS, so I used to go to his house, and I could only ever watch snippets of it. I just couldn't get through the whole film. It terrified the life out of me. Like, movies don't really scare me now, but when you're new to the horror, and it was just like I couldn't get through it. I was so scared. And then one day, my mum said, look, My dad came home and said, "Look, I've had a word with your mum. You can watch Freddy." And he brought home for some reason the third one from a car boot sale, I believe. So I watched it. And by the way, my mum said, "Oh yeah, by the way, Jordan, let your sister watch it with you, who was 2 years younger than me." So it just that 2 years of me begging to watch it just went out the like it didn't make sense at all. So me and my sister watched it, and I just fell in love with horror, and it's mainly because of Freddy why I love horror. But I didn't watch the first one, this one, until like a couple of years later. I don't think I was just watching the third one all the time because that's the only one I owned. But I remember really liking it, and it's never actually surpassed part 3 for me, but it's probably my second favorite in the franchise, to be honest. I think it's a pretty solid film, and when I watched it, I was like, "Oh, it's good to see the origins and where it all started, really." And just watching this again the other night, you pick up on little things here and there as well. So it's always a good one to revisit.
Yeah, for me, like the very first what I remember was again, it was kind of school time, but it was more when we were like, everything would be like media studies or something like that, when we kind of just like going like through like how scenes had played out with like Scream or even like Halloween and stuff, the iconic stuff, and Nightmare on Elm Street was one of them. So the only thing I really remember from way back when is the very end with that dream sequence. And obviously on that, those crappy old TVs that you have, and the fact that when the mum gets like, obviously Freddy's hand comes through the glass door, and then the mother gets pulled through, and me and my friend were just like laughing at it. I'm thinking that looks really crap, like how she's just pulled through at the end. And so it was kind of like, in a way, it's kind of thinking it still kind of like looks a bit hokey at the end with how that plays out, and obviously it got it in the 4K and everything, but at the same time there's a charm about it in a way too when you think about it and how it all is. And what I appreciated this time, seeing all the way back, so I've seen it a couple of times throughout my life, but I think it's more just how like the colours pop, especially like with all the blood and stuff, like the bit where Glenn gets obviously pulled into bed and then all that, the blood spurts out of the bed and everything, and like how that is very vibrant and everything. And even with how the lighting is, when it's almost like what I think with certain areas of the film, when like I'm thinking of when Tina is out in, she's having the nightmare or dream, whatever you want to call it, then the lighting is kind of like that kind of blue hue kind of thing. I think that's what you're kind of noticing. That's when this is almost like this is the dream sequence that's occurring. This is different from reality, I think. So it's kind of like spotting out through that as like that is that. But then the lines blur a little bit as well, so it's kind of like picking up on things like that. Then keeps it a bit interesting, really, and thinking on like, what is a dream? What is it? Is it all a dream? That kind of thing, and it kind of plays your mind a little bit as well with. It keeps it interesting.
I think some of the scenes, like it sort of gives you nods that this is a dream, and there's like a little lullaby type of score in the background a little bit. Like the score of the movie changes when it's in the dream, I think, to like sort of the lullaby thing I'm talking about and stuff. And you just, some things just seem a little bit off, don't they, when they're dreaming and stuff like that. One scene that stands out a bit weirdly to me is, do you know when the kids are skipping? I think it's after the initial scene, and they're singing the song "1, 2, Freddy's coming for you," and then it just shoots to the right, and it's real world time. But that seems very dreamlike. So, and then it shoots to the car where they're all in the car going to school, doesn't it? So, I think that's maybe just, I don't know what Wes Craven was trying to do there, but that's always sort of confused me, that little scene, because it seems very dreamlike. Then we move to the real world in one shot. It's a bit strange, but I really like the way Wes done that with all the dream sequences and stuff like that. But there's some great moments in the movie overall. I mean, the part when Nancy's in the bathtub and the claw just comes off. I love the bit where she's on the phone and the tongue comes out the phone and he's like, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy." I was like, my friend's actually got a proper just a phone with the tongue stick.
That's cool.
There's so many iconic moments.
I think there was a couple of bits for me where I'm like, this is my first time of actually seeing this film. Like Never seen it. So obviously for me, I would rewatch it just because I have lots of questions off the back of it, and I think initially it can leave you a bit confused. Like
Mm.
I didn't notice the blue hue, like you mentioned.
Mhm.
Like you had to kind of, because I kept on going, wait a minute, are we dreaming now? Are we in real life? Like where am I? Like I just don't understand. And I think from a first watch, unless you really, really like honed in on it, you probably are going to miss them, and you need to rewatch value from it.
Mhm.
And I think for me, it was like, where am I? Like, obviously, I knew that
Mm.
Tina was going to be like, she's going to be the one to die first. And I know that sounds really bad, but when it feels like any partner that any girl that's in her teens that has a boyfriend and they sleep together, then she's going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost immediately. Basically, it's like you shouldn't be doing
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, in the movie Scream, it sort of says that's one of the
Yeah.
rules, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you knew straight away that Nancy was going to be your final girl. Like you kind of, he's like Halloween Town, not Halloween Town, from Halloween. What's her name now?
Laurie Strode. Yeah.
Yeah, she's intelligent, she's smart, she's bookworthy.
Mm.
She wants to do her best, and she's there for her friend, and she's loyal, and she's
Yeah.
good. And I think that's kind of then like your final girl cliche, so to speak.
Yeah.
So then bits I get, but then it's like the whole idea of Freddie and what his motive is. Why is he doing what he's doing? And then like towards the end where she's like, oh, well, she gets his hat and she drags it out of the dream.
Mm.
And she then apparently, I think she drags Freddie out, but then I'm like, does she or doesn't she? Or is that just in her head or in her dream that she now thinks Freddie is in her house? Or, and then what happens with her mother really baffles me. Because then where did Freddie go?
Yeah. She does drag him out, I think, of the dream. And her not being scared of him, because that's what he's preying on these kids who are terrified of him throughout the movie. We see them like, oh, I don't want to go to sleep, or you're dreaming about the same guy I did. And I think he thrives off that. And when she just says, you're nothing, you're shit, I think he's just lost all his power. And because he's in the outside world, all his power is in the dream world. So with them two combining, where she's not bothered and she doesn't let him, she's not scared of him and he's got no power there, I think that's when he just kind of, does he just like evaporate or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, just like,
yeah.
he like jumps out and then just dissolves nothing there. And then,
Because it's like Freddie is more powerful in his dream world. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like
but I don't know what happened to her mother in the bed. I just don't get that. Like, I know Freddie sort of kills her and stuff, but then she just kind of sinks through the covers.
Yeah, doesn't she turns to like a skeleton, doesn't she?
Yeah,
as well,
and the hands like is out of the bed,
and
but then I'm like, well, does that mean Freddie's gone back into the dream world, like through her bed because she was asleep? And then I was wondering at the end, was like, is Freddie now? This is where I went, and I don't know if it'd have been more interesting actually. Did Freddie like take over her mum? Like, could he have like possessed her body, so to speak?
The whole time, or do you mean?
No, once he's done the bed bit. That sounds wrong. Once he's kind of like, but then you can tell he's killed her. But like with the front door where it's like all happy, clappy, the kids are going to school, and the only bit that you know Freddie's there is because of like the convertible roof being his jumper.
But that's one of the endings that they went with. There was like, I think there was like 4 different endings they had, and I don't know if I think they probably wanted just to end it, or in a way that once Nancy defeats him, and then it's like, oh, that's it, walk away and that be that. Not go to this other bit where it's obviously looks a bit more like dream like because of the soft lighting that's playing out, and everyone's like, oh yeah, see you later, go to school now and everything with your friends,
and everyone's alive. Yeah.
I don't really think that's.
It's very strange the way is like her friends are back and then her mother's get dragged through. Like it's. I think I watched the documentary called Never Sleep Again, which is like one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. It goes through every single Nightmare on Elm Street film, gives it a good 40-minute segment to each one. And Robert Shea, who's the producer of this film, who is the head of New Line Productions, he sort of made Wes put this ending in there because he's seen potential for a sequel. And New Line at the time were really struggling. And that documentary explains that Nightmare on Elm Street as a franchise saved that company because it just made them so much money. So I can see why he wanted to make a sequel if he seen potential in it, but it's just a little bit of a head scratcher to me. I just don't get why her friends are back, even though they've been killed, and I honestly don't know the answer.
That's fine. I didn't know if there
Yeah.
was because I know that so there's documentaries and stuff, but it is really interesting the fact that obviously like films like this, when we think like they're so popular now, but to think like when they were initially released, like this, for example, and I think even like John Carpenter's The Thing, and there's like we all like as a horror community, we all like kind of really love these films, and yet back in the day it was like, oh no, it's panned, it did absolutely terrible at the box. Even like Shining, like my favorite film ever, was not even really that critically acclaimed at the time, and now it's just grown and grown in popularity and stuff. But I think it's just word of mouth and things like that are just kind of push these films. But it's in the sense of it making sequels. I mean, obviously you've got like Halloween and stuff, and the Friday the 13th films that do the same.
Kind of came before this, so like Robert Shea probably seeing, oh, we can have our own one here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What did you think of? Because like she's my favorite final girl of all time. Did you like Nancy played by Heather Langenkamp? Or
Yeah. I like there's a line in it which I don't know if you've I kind of find funny, but when she's talking to Glenn, when she's like going to explain the plan to what she's going to do, when she says she looks a mirror, it's like, God, I look 20 years old.
Yes.
And she is actually 20 years old. She's supposed to be playing a 15-year-old girl, and she is which is another thing of these kids in these films, even like probably today, to be fair, you're thinking, you don't look like the age you're supposed to be playing in these films.
Yeah. It's a strange line, isn't it? I was like, that's another thing I picked up on this time, but because I haven't watched it for a few years and I'm a bit older myself now, I was like, you're 20.
I know. I'd love to be like, oh, I wish I could be saying that. I wish I looked 20 years old.
Yeah. It's crazy that Johnny Depp was actually in this film as well, isn't it? But...
Yeah, very young, yeah. And I think it's his first role, I think. Like, certainly in film, anyway. I don't know if about TV, but...
Yeah.
I think for Johnny Depp, I was looking at him thinking, it is you, but then you don't sound like you. Like, it's like we watched the Titanic and I saw like the young Leo and I was like, wow, your voice has not changed. Like, literally, you just sound exactly the same. Where I think Johnny Depp definitely
got a lot deeper as time's gone on. Yeah.
It was a bit of a shock to the system.
You don't sound like Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. Did Edward Scissorhands, because I feel like I
think that was after.
Was it?
I think, yeah. Or sometime after, yeah.
Because I feel like that's inspired a little bit somehow with the way that it's created.
I thought you meant in terms of
No. It just because of the claws and the hands and the scissors and the way it's been made and crafted makes me think of Freddy's
Tim
glove.
Burton maybe have been inspired by that. Maybe.
That's like a very dream-like movie as well. The little town that they live in and stuff, isn't it? So yeah, a few coincidences there, I suppose.
Yeah. And speaking of Nancy, I think she's amazing. I love the bit where, obviously for me, the first time seeing this, I kind of call it like a Home Alone scene, where she's like, right, I'm going to set up my house with booby traps. And you were saying, Paul, wasn't you, like, this is not like uncommon in kind of films back then, that they would like set a plan out and they'd be really clever with how like...
Well, yeah, because I was thinking about now, like Wes Craven did Last House on the Left, and there was like I don't know if you've seen it, Jordan, but there's like the very original one, and there was like a sequence in that was almost like, oh, I'm going to set up a Home Alone style kind of thing to trip up the people that were invading and stuff. So it's not a thing that Home Alone didn't invent the whole thing, but it's easy to say, oh, we're doing a Home Alone sequence here. Yeah.
But I feel like that's the most iconic one, like, I can go to. And Kevin's a lot younger than Nancy, but I think what Nancy does is brilliant, the way that she thinks it through. And she's on hardly any sleep at this moment.
I can't believe she actually done all that and put her mum to sleep in 20 minutes.
I know.
I was just watching it going, this is going to take a lot longer than 20 minutes. You've told Glenn to wake up soon.
That is true.
Yeah.
I feel like for Nancy, though, I do feel sorry for her because it's one of those hard situations where no one's going to believe you. They are going to think you're a bit psychotic and you've got quite a lot of issues. And obviously the mother doesn't believe her. And even when she firsthand sees that her daughter is like got scratches on her arms, like when she's in the like hospital being watched,
Mm.
and then she brings out the hat and it says Freddie, and it's like she kind of, I don't know, the mother is a bit of an annoyance. I feel like the dad seems more of a stronger role, but he's too busy with his job.
Yeah.
And the mum's a bit of an alcoholic.
Yeah. I mean, still doesn't really believe in himself, does he? Because, like, she goes, "Oh, wake me up in 20, we kick this door down." And then he goes, "Oh, yeah, I'll do it." And then he just goes to his mate, "Look, just watch my daughter's out there." Like, I don't think he is actually ever going to kick that door down,
No.
or he intends to. Yeah, it's like, it's one of them. It's like it's like a lot of horror movies do this, isn't it? Like Child's Play. Like, no one's going to believe the kid. This doll's alive and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So yeah, it makes it even harder for her as a final girl, or the main character, should I say, to sort of get everyone on side, if you like. I mean, she even knows Glenn's got in trouble. Sorry, not Glenn. Rod is in trouble in the prison, and then they run in. He's got the thing round his neck, and they still don't kind of believe it. She pulled the hat out the dream, like you said. It's like,
Yeah.
what more do you want?
And especially with him being hanging himself, like there was no way he could have got up to that window. Like there was no physical possible way like he could have got there. Like,
Yeah.
and no one actually just stood there to think, well, how is this even human? Even like with Tina initially, like they obviously assume it's her boyfriend that's done it and that's why he's in prison. But at the same time, it's like there's blood on the ceiling. Like, what has actually happened? And I think that's
Yeah.
when you can kind of see like, oh, they're just children. They just assume the worst and they kind of go like, oh, it's that.
Yeah.
And that's it, isn't it? But I do secretly quite like Freddie as a character. And I know this sounds a little bit manipulated and twisted, but I kind of don't, he doesn't scare me and I don't know why. And I kind of feel for him. And I'm like, why do I feel for Freddie? I quite like him, even though I know he's not meant to be liked.
Yeah.
But I think it's just he looks a bit jovial. He's kind of the way
he plays. Yeah, he's very. He's rather than just wearing a mask, like you say, like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, where it's like, oh, faceless, and it's like that's scary because like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Whereas he's like making light of the situation. He's like making little quips and stuff. Because I know from the fact that I haven't seen the sequels, but I know he's like, oh, I'm gonna get like it's television time, bitch, or something like that. These kind of quips that one-liners that he comes out because they obviously they knew what they were. Oh, the audience want to hear those kind of lines and things to say.
But just even the way that he moves around, like it's not like your normal slasher film. Like he kind of is making you mind play tricks, like with the scraping of his like claw, if you want to say, and it's just his face as well. Like it's kind of like freaky, but it's like he knows what he's doing and he finds it funny. Like it's that's
he enjoys killing.
He does.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I like him. I don't know what that is. Don't say this now, because if I said I've liked him, he's going to be in my dreams now, isn't he?
He's like, oh,
You're not alone. I mean, he's probably the most iconic horror villain alongside Michael Myers. I mean, people love him. He was a huge pop culture icon. Like in the 80s, Freddy was everywhere, especially when like part 3 and 4 came out and stuff. It's kind of like what Art the Clown is now, if you like. I mean, he's the upcoming villain now, isn't he? I suppose, but he's a very likable character, Freddy. I mean, I think it's very clever in this movie that I don't think they actually ever state that he's a paedophile, do they? They just say that he killed kids. Whereas in the remake, they make him a full-blown paedophile, basically.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to like the character in that one.
Right.
So I think they do quite clever to sort of skate around that a little bit. But yeah, he's just got like so many iconic one, like you said, in the third one, he's on point with all these one-liners, but there's a good few in this film, I think. I like it when he's doing the Home Alone thing at the end, and he's getting a little bit angry with it, like he can't get one over Nancy, and he just goes, "I'm gonna split you in two." So he's great. I love him.
I think that's the thing.
And Robert Englund, who plays him, is. I've watched the documentary on him as well, and man, he's a genius in my opinion, the way he portrays this character. So
100% agree. And I didn't think I'd ever like a slasher character because I'm not really big on the films like that. Like Michael Myers, I don't know. I actually really were happy when I thought he had died.
Mm.
because it were like, you're really getting on my nerves now because you're just skulking into people's houses and then you're there, but he's lifeless. And I think that's the
Yeah.
thing, whereas Freddy technically is dead, but he's got more animation, more movement, more
freedom, essentially,
yeah.
to do
And
what.
I think that's probably why it's more intriguing.
There's
and-
more to play around with, isn't there? In a sense, you could do pretty much anything really within.
Yeah.
Well, obviously the practical effects and special effects probably later down the line, but yeah. But speaking of, I say the practical effects, I'm always on board for having practical effects in films than I am CGI or anything any day. Take that. But there's the creativity of like say when Tina was getting like mauled to death, and essentially making it so that the room was on a tilt and stuff and all that kind of stuff, even with the blood that was coming up from that was played the opposite way around. So for us, it looks like it's coming upwards, where it's actually spurting downwards and spilling out.
So what? Because obviously it had been done on film. Is it just moving the negative upside down?
No. I think the set was
right.
rotating set basically and stuff to get those effects, and that's why she like on the hanging off the ceiling essentially. And
I just thought they were filming her while she's pretending to do that on the floor, like that kind of like weird angle above, like kind of thing. That's really clever.
Yeah, it's crazy how they made it when you watch the making of. Basically, they did. I think they had the room upside down and stuff like that. So yeah, but like the way he's chopping his fingers off and the big long arms and stuff like that. It is all, like you said, it can be very creative with the dreams. It does further enhance this down the franchise. But that's what I like about him. He can pretty much do anything he kind of wants, but he's got personality. He's got a huge personality. Michael Myers, I kind of like the way he's a silent protagonist and stuff, but there's not much there in character. Same with Jason Voorhees, but Chucky and Freddy for me are my two favourites because they've got personality, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Because even when Freddy like kind of creeps in on Nancy when she's in the bath, and it is a little bit for a woman, like that's like kind of makes you feel cringe.
Even for me, as like thinking all those sharp knives near your genitals and
but then it's the kind of nearly, no, actually I'm not going to be able to get her because her mum walks in or there's some noise, or because like she kind of, and it's that protection of falling in and out of a dream, and it's that cleverness of thinking, something's going to happen now, and then I'm like bracing myself thinking what, so then it's making your mind go worse than actually what you're seeing on TV. And I think that's the clever thing of this, where you can take it to an extra level without it even having to do it for you.
The anticipation of what might come, you mean?
Yeah. What I think I did notice as well about this film, like, it doesn't mess around. Like, there's a lot of horror. I love modern horror. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people hate it, but I don't. I really like it. But a lot of them now take a long time to do the setup and stuff. And I think Nightmare on Elm Street does the setup very quickly to where you know where you are. It's like 20 minutes in, we know what's happening. We know this guy's coming for these people in the dreams, and they're sort of terrified, basically. And it's just a very well-paced film, I think, throughout. I mean, it doesn't really drag. It's never dull. And I just think that's a bit of magic from the 80s, really, I think, that we got with these slashers. Personally, I don't know what you guys think of that, but I just think compared to modern horror now, it just knows exactly what it wants to do, and it does it, apart from that stupid ending.
No, I agree with how there's some aspects of, like, with the films like this where it's like you appreciate the short run times of like horror films when they kind of get to the point right there and then, as opposed to just dragging out. But I mean, obviously, like Back to The Shining is like that takes its time with that as well. And so with like I say, modern horrors now, where you have a long waiting time for maybe something to happen, or to get to the message of what it's trying to get to, or things like that. But I really appreciate how certain films do that in modern horror as well. I'm for that, especially if it's got more to offer than just a straightforward, oh, this is the killer, this is what they're doing. That thing is like basic formula kind of thing. Where if you're making something about something that's a deeper meaning and you get more out of it, then all for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't mind like the slow burns and stuff like that. It's just
Mm.
I think if they made a Nightmare on Elm Street now, say it didn't exist, if they made that now, I think it'd be over 2 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Personally.
100%.
yeah, it would be.
Just to set it all up and everything.
I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe it's not even a thing. But I'm sure I saw somewhere that they were making a remake or a TV series in 2025. I don't know if that's true or not, because I saw maybe it was a fake trailer. Look, I'm sure it had who's it? Who plays Elle in Stranger Things? Millie Bobby Brown is in the thumbnail of on the YouTube thing. Thinking this. Oh, if that's true, that's gonna suck.
I think I'm 99% certain that might be fake.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of concept posters
Yeah.
lately. Like I'm constantly praying that they announce something here with the new Nightmare on Elm Street film, and I haven't heard nothing. I don't think that will be real, to be honest. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty. I think I did see that one myself actually with Millie, but and I've seen another one. Rob Zombie's directing a TV show. That's
Right.
definitely fake. That one.
Okay. Because it has been a while since there's been like a Freddy property, hasn't there? I think when was Freddy versus Jason? Was that after the remake?
No, it was. I think it was before. I think that was like 2000. I'm gonna get this wrong now, but I think it was like 2003.
All right.
Could be wrong. I think the remake was 2010.
But there's been nothing
think.
since, has there? No. So, which is kind of odd because like how they've done with like the Halloween films, like the David Gordon Green ones were 2018 and kills and ends and stuff and stuff. Even with I'm sure with like the Chucky franchise as well, that's gone on to have multiple things. But it's weird that Freddy hasn't had like a resurgence as such.
I don't know if he'd be more scary. Like I feel like they'd
have to up the ante on
that
if they were going to do.
And I think that's why I like him in this one, because he's not that scary and he's more jovial. And I think the run hour of this is great. Like I feel like nowadays a horror film, I don't know, it just drags for me a little bit. Like if it's more modern, I'm like, oh yeah, look at all these fancy things we can do. We're gonna have to put more into it. But actually you're not getting much out of it. Whereas like for this, like I can't actually believe I'm gonna say it. I actually genuinely did enjoy it. And I would watch it again, which for me is really, really rare.
That's true.
I do have a question. Why is Freddy's blood green? If he's a spirit, should he have blood? And am I thinking too much into it?
You mean when he cuts his finger off?
Yeah.
Well, I guess he's
I'm
undead.
not sure.
Undead, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that, to be honest. Because there was only that one instance, really.
But, yeah, well, I'm just thinking if you wanted to actually kill him, then... Like, what is he? Is he an alien? Like,
no, he's just an undead person, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's just a supernatural demon, isn't he? I couldn't put my finger on it 100%, but that's the way I'd see it. He's just this demon that comes into your dreams, basically from I don't know. That's the way I see it. That's the best way to explain it.
I think I'm gonna have to. I can feel like I could watch this several different ways, which is interesting. And I think that's like when you watch like Shutter Island or something like that, like you can interpret it different ways every time you watch it. And like initially I watched it as, the teenagers are just kind of all building up in their heads and they're getting themselves worked up and scared. And now it's like, right, let's rewatch it as Freddy being real. Would that then become more scarier for me?
What do you mean by that being real though?
Like an actual demon actually coming into your dream.
Oh, okay.
Where you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because that sounds a lot scarier than, these are just some couple of teenage kids who are messing around and then like they're now pretending it's real and they've, like when you tell a lie and then you think it's real because you've said it so many times. I was thinking it's more like that effect where like you're just constantly thinking, Freddy's now real.
I definitely see it the other way where he's actually coming into the dream and it's not all in the heads. That's the way I see it. Definitely.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it, I think, and I can't believe I'm saying that. I'll have to let you know if it scares me more when we rewatch it.
But I've heard a theory of sorts that maybe which is a terrible trope in itself when you say, and it was all a dream, where the whole film is like a dream sequence and it's from the perspective of Nancy's mother, and that's why the bit at the end is how it happens. That because obviously it's because Freddie was after her the whole time. Really, it was just a means of getting to the kids.
Oh, okay.
Through her to I'm going to take something from you that's kind of important to, even though for Nancy's mum, she doesn't really care that much. She's too busy drinking. But it's an interesting concept. But I don't know if that's, you could see it that way as like a different perspective of looking at it. But I don't know if there's any weight to that.
With the ending, then, does that mean Nancy dies? Like, is that how you guys perceive it? Because obviously she's in the car and it's driving off.
Taken away. Who knows?
I definitely don't see it that way, only because I know she's in the third one. So, but yeah, you could see it that way, I suppose, at the time when it was just this one made, I imagine. Or it could just be another dream that Nancy's having, and then who knows what happens after that. It's a very weird ending. It really is. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, because it was strange. Because once it ended, I still didn't think Nancy had died. Like, because I knew she was going to be the final girl. But even though it could imply that that was the case.
Yeah, maybe even if, say, they didn't even have the car. The car's locking itself up and everything, and it's the stripes of green and red. The Freddy. You didn't see that. If it was just maybe that her mum sees them off, and they just drive off and cut away to that scene, and then she stands there to the doorway, and then the claw just comes through the glass and pulls her through, then that might have made it a bit more or less like ambiguous that Nancy was in trouble. Where it was like, oh, it's the mum that was to be tortured or whatever. I don't know, but
I think for that to work, you'd have to exclude the friends in the car. She'd have to just be going somewhere by herself, and then her mum waiting for her.
That's a good point. Yeah, because they're not supposed to be there. I don't. Yeah, because they're all dead.
Well, everyone's dead apart from Nancy.
Yeah.
Another point you were saying, like, was it really all from her mum's point of view and stuff? Because she looks like she's like the kind of the leader of that mob that took him down. She's the one with the gloves and everything in the boiler room and stuff. So, but yeah, I just see it as he's getting revenge through the kids, and he just enjoys killing, to be honest. So, this is his little way of getting back. But yeah, I kind of lost what I was saying now or something. But yeah, that's just the way I see it, sort of, really. I see it as Freddy coming into your dreams as a demon. He's coming to kill you, and it's revenge for what all the parents did, basically.
And do we get to ever understand why Freddy is the way Freddy is?
I don't know. Is there a backstory on why, other than the fact?
Oh, you mean just because he's a killer and stuff?
Yeah, like
like in the other ones, is there? No.
I think in like the fifth one, it attempts to do something like that, or it might be Freddy's dead. It goes back to when Freddy, before he's burnt and stuff like that, in little flashbacks. But no, I think he's just a lunatic, isn't he? Really, to be honest, I think that's just he's just a killer, and that he's not right in the head, basically.
Yeah. I think it's just like the Joker, where they kind of did that one where you understood why he kind of then went out and started killing everybody, and I think I could feel remorse for Freddy, and I don't know why.
Sometimes it works for films, sometimes it doesn't. You don't need to, like, because back to Halloween again with Rob Zombie's Halloween. I don't really need to see why Michael Myers is the way he is from those films.
You do get that though,
huh? No, I mean from a little kid, basically, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But those films don't sit with me well. But so I don't know if would ever really need to know why, what was Freddy doing before he was bullied, and then doing the court case stuff or whatever, and got off. And we don't need that. We don't need that at all.
In Freddy's Nightmares, it does actually show you him. Freddy's Nightmares is a TV show that came out at the time. I don't know if you knew that was a thing or whatever. But yeah, there's one episode where it shows you him in court and he gets away.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't seen it for such a long time. Like, I had that on VHS. That's the last time I watched that. It wasn't a very good series from memory, but yeah, it did show you that, actually.
So yeah, if they did that now, it would be like a 10 hour long episode series on Netflix or
Mm.
something, wouldn't it? Like going
Yeah.
through the intricacies of the.
I wouldn't put it past Netflix to do a Nightmare on Elm Street series or something at some point, because they've done like a nice Ratched show from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Yeah.
Nest, and no one's seen that coming. So,
Yeah.
but sometimes I don't really need it explaining to me. Really, sometimes with prequels, I'm just like, okay, do we really need to know the origins and
Yeah.
stuff like that? I just think sometimes it's better not knowing. I think that's what's sort of great about Michael Myers. He is just evil, and that's the end of it.
Mhm.
It's just in him. We don't do we need an explanation really?
No.
And I think that's probably kind of what it is like with Freddy. He's a killer, and
Yeah.
and that's
That's
it.
it.
It's just the way he is, and some people are unfortunately like that, aren't they?
Mm.
But he just really enjoys it, as you can see in the film.
Yeah. Anything else you want to bring up? Any other questions?
Should have probably wrote some stuff down there, but we've pretty much gone through a lot of the film, haven't we?
Yeah.
There.
Any? Do you ever like? I don't know. There's only a few, but is there like a favorite kills of the ones that occur from the I guess essentially three, isn't there? Main ones.
It's got to be Johnny Depp's sucked
Yeah.
through the bed thing. Just so well done, and the amount of blood in that room, and like the way the police officers can't even
Yeah.
look in there, and I think one of them throwing up or something.
Yes, it's something like that. Yeah.
But I know it's not a kill, but I don't know why this always makes me laugh. But Glenn's dad, I've got a weird sense of humor when he says, I think that kid is some kind of lunatic or something. And she goes, oh, she's had a bad time, leave her alone. He goes, I don't care what you're saying. I don't want her knocking around with our kid ever again. I don't know why that's funny to me. It just is.
Mhm.
He's just so sincere. But yeah, I've got to go with the Johnny Depp kill, definitely. Yeah, there's only that one, Rod Lane and Tina, really,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
mum.
But that's yeah.
Oh, the mum.
That's the funniest one for sure. But
Yeah, but in these sequels, they do get a lot more creative than that.
what about you, Soph? If you could say like, oh, what was your favorite death?
I think it would be for Glenn, to be fair, bless him. Just because it's so dramatic, and like with the dad's line, well, actually, he's not going to get to see her again because she was trying to save his life,
Mhm.
and now you just murdered your
Yeah.
son technically
Yeah.
because she hasn't woke him up.
I know, yeah, that's probably the most tragic you feel because of the fact that he just says his dad's like, oh, we'll just get the phone so you can't get through because like, oh, I'm just parents being parents like, oh, we don't want you involved or anything like that, and then it's backfired in that sense with it. But
I think it's thinking all teenagers are being dramatic and being over the top, and why do you have to speak to your boyfriend at 12 o'clock at night? No, you won't. And parents being like not understanding because it's like, well, they just think they're making it up, don't they, at that age?
It plays into what you were saying before about like no one believing Nancy and stuff. Yeah, Glenn's asleep. You have to talk to him tomorrow. I think I've got a favourite character here, haven't I? Now that I think about it, Glenn's dad.
What about you?
What?
Do you have a favourite kill?
Yeah, say Glenn.
Same.
Yeah. Say the praise with that. I think there was with that as well because it's like very much watered down. I think it was like it was water with like some kind of food coloring or something in it. I think there was actually some like accidents that happened because of there was like sparks some people got electrocuted from.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
What, because of the film crew?
Yeah, the film crew, because obviously there was a lot of water spilling out, so it's like, oh god, yeah. But it's very effective, but obviously behind the scenes is a bit risque sometimes with these. What they had to do for health and safety, health and safety things weren't quite as stringent as they are today.
I've heard some stories about movie sets and stuff in the past, but apparently the Exorcist one went on fire and stuff like that. So
yeah, a cursed film.
Yeah. Have you got a favourite line of dialogue from Freddy or anything? Because he's got so many great quotes throughout these films. But
I'm trying to think of. Well, I mean, I do like the bit when Tina's like very like scared at the beginning. She's like, "Oh, please, God," and then it's like, "This is God," kind of thing. That playful thing again. That kind of iconic shot with the claw against his face, and then with that light and everything. And that's like really good. But
I can't actually remember any of them, but I know he did definitely make me chuckle. But I think watching them again, you'd feel like they're just going to be these iconic lines that you just kind of repeat and know when with the film.
Mhm.
Do you have any?
Yeah, I'd probably have to go with the one where she thinks it's Glenn on the phone and he says, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy." I love that.
I think that's why I like him so much as a character. And it's weird because I shouldn't really like him,
Mhm.
but he has got that humor that makes you enjoy watching him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's definitely got character and personality, that's for sure.
One final thing I just remembered, the fact that obviously way back when, before I even saw Nightmare on Elm Street film itself, I think that Sophie's going to laugh at this. The fact that there was a Simpsons episode of the Treehouse of Horror film. Was it Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace or something? Obviously,
Yeah,
like Grant's
that's the
Keeping
one.
Willie being the
Yeah.
thing. So that was probably my very first introduction to
Of course it was.
the character of Freddy Krueger, but not.
Absolutely love them episodes.
You learn everything from The Simpsons, you do.
It was very influential when I was a child. It's still
That was like an event when I was a kid when they used to put the Halloween Treehouse of Horror ones. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
yes, we got one of them
Yeah, it
tonight.
really
So
is.
I always used to look forward to them. Now you can just put it on Disney Plus, can't you? So
Exactly.
I love them episodes. Yeah.
Okay. So now it comes to the point where we do our rating of the film.
Mhm.
So normally let our guest go first if you've got an idea in mind. So it's from 1 to 10 basically, and you can do like 0.5s and stuff if you have a thing for that. So what would you rate the film?
I would probably go with an 8 out of 10 for Nightmare on Elm Street, to be honest. I think it's pretty solid.
Mhm.
If it weren't for the ending, I'd probably go for an 8.5.
Oh, I was going to say what would make it higher, but yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
I think it's one of those things that sadly it is the ending, isn't it? That leaves you just a little bit scratching your
Mhm.
head.
Yeah. So for me, I would also go for an 8 as well. I think it was like really good. It's been a while since I've seen it. 4K looked great as well, and there's a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, it's really hyped up for what for potentially like one of the best 4Ks of the year, kind of thing." And so, but yeah, I'd say it's very much a good rewatch, and picked up more as an adult mind for watching the film as well. But yeah, I think let's say the ending is a bit like questionable, really, but still really solid horror film and just so iconic. So what's not to like?
I mean, I watched it last week, and I could watch it again right now. So it's a very rewatchable film, I think.
Yeah. But I will get on to make an effort to watch the other films in the box set now.
I'll actually watch them with you, so it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just where the one and the second one is like the black sheep of the franchise. It's very weird. You won't believe the direction it kind of goes in. For that second one, it's so different, but it's Freddy at his best. He's like so dark and scary in that movie.
Don't ruin Freddy.
Well, part 3, he's find a perfect balance with him where he's funny, but it's dark humor sort of thing, and it's like the nasty jokes what he's saying basically.
I'm intrigued. I am.
So I would definitely watch 2 and 3. Definitely watch 2 and 3. I would.
Once I watch 2 and 3, it's definitely going to be in my dreams. I can feel it coming.
So what would you rate the first one?
So the first one for me, obviously first time watching it, I feel like it's going to be one that my score would increase with a rewatchable value. I'm not far off you guys, to be fair. I'm going to do it at a 7.5. I think the ending ruins it a little bit, but my love for Freddy, which sounds strange, gives it that higher level. And I think just the idea of it, I think as well, I haven't scored it highly because it didn't scare me, but maybe if I rewatch it again in the mind that Freddy's in my dreams and I can't get rid of him, it might be more frightening. But maybe I did it as like a coping mechanism.
Maybe, yeah. Did you do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really positive as well. I think that's one of the higher end. But I mean, to be fair, with what we've covered this month, we've been fairly like higher end rather than just being like really low. Like, oh, it was terrible, or it was just too scary, or whatever. So you've given it a low score, but been pretty positive, and I'm glad that you've kind of enjoyed embrace like something that's like, and you willing to watch the rest of the films rather than go, no, not interested in.
It's nice to have a guest on as well and actually not slag off the film, because this is what he normally does, is he puts a guest on that really loves the film, and then I'm like, I don't get it, I don't like it, and it's
And then both got back up.
yeah.
Oh, so we're all on the same train of thought then, aren't we?
Yeah, seems that way. That's
Yeah.
very positive. Yeah, great. Yeah, so thank you once again, Jordan, for joining us on this episode. And if you would like to remind people where they can find you on socials and refresh on what you do.
So if you want to find me on YouTube, it's just type in Movie Worm. There is a film that comes up called Worm or something, but then I'm underneath that.
It's a little worm icon with like the red and blue glasses, isn't it, as the
Yeah.
icon?
Yeah, like 3D glasses sort of thing.
Mm.
And Movie Squirm, I don't know if that one will come up. I don't have as many subscribers on that one, but it's me holding a little needle up with a Substance t-shirt on. And if you want me on Instagram, it's movie_worm88, and me Twitter X1 is moviewormyt.
Thank you once again for that, and do check out Jordan's content, because it's really, really good and really insightful. And as a fellow physical media collector myself, I
think Jordan's putting you to shame.
Yeah, no,
back there.
It's like he's got way more than I do. Can't see mine; they're out of shop.
On the early days of buying Blu-ray, I used to just grab anything I could, but I've calmed down a little bit now. I just buy things that I kind of want in my collection.
Yeah,
so my habits have changed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they seem to be the things that you want and the more pricier ones. Have you noticed?
That's the problem. Yeah.
That is it. So many boutique labels coming out now.
Yeah.
I just bought The Hitcher, and that was like 53 quid, something like that. So for one film.
Imagine when you were back in the day, you'd have bought 5 of them for a tenner. Like,
yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Well, yeah, thanks very much for your time, Jordan.
I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I'll ever need me again, just give me a shout. But
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Really, always good to talk, Freddie.
100%.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode, and a big thank you to our special guest. If you want to check out some of our other episodes, you can do so by going to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you get your podcasts from. And we'd really appreciate you leave us a 5-star review on any of those platforms as well. A big thank you to the Patreons for supporting the show, who are Mark from 100 Things to Learn from Film, Ben from Film Vloggers, Nico from the Good, the Bad, the Weird podcast, Chris Gren, who is cgren_draw on Instagram, Alex, who is Desperately Seeking Username on Instagram, Shani, who is SDOG on Instagram, Danny Jones, or Jonesy, who is @WeightLossJonesy on Instagram, Emma, who is M_Hayton on Instagram, and of course Sophie's mum. And if you would like a shout out on each of our episodes and the opportunity to vote on what we watch once a month, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/SP Filmviewers to sign up for as little as £1 or $1.50 a month, and gets you those little perks and helps grow our little community. And lastly, if you'd like to follow us on social media, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and TikTok under the handle SP_Filmviewers. Once again, thank you very much for listening, and we will speak to you next time.